Hello, everybody. Um, so I'm doing my second interview and I'm doing it with Oliver.
Hello.
And so we're gonna ask him some questions about his disorder that he has, what it was like growing up, and and how he deals with that as an adult. So he is my oldest son, and in life with him is
Exciting.
interesting.
It's exciting. You know it, Mom.
But before we get started, a couple things is I would like to do these interviews on a more regular basis. So, if anybody's out there and there is something that you struggle with or you would like to share, just message me and we can, um, schedule a sit down. So, anyway, so okay, are you ready?
As ready as it can be.
Okay. So Oliver, um, so Oliver has schizoaffective disorder, and basically it's schizophrenia and bipolar disorder mixed together. So Oliver, tell us um, about when you first started noticing the symptoms, like when you were young, and
When I was like 5 or 10, I'm not sure which.
come closer so we can see.
Oh, sorry. When I was like 5 or 10, I noticed that there are things that no one else can see, and I asked my dad, I asked mom, and and anybody of authority back then, uh, why they can't see them. And they said, "Oh, it's just your imaginary friends and everything." So no one knew that I was schizoaffective, or even schizophrenic for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
But as years go on, I noticed I kept seeing them and seeing them. And when I grow out of the imaginary friend stage, uh, I asked the counselor out Northeastern, I think, and they uh, started not interviewing, but counseling me on how not to listen to any of the voices uh, or what the images say or do. But for all my years, none of my hallucinations have ever been malevolent and or vicious towards me. They usually just say weird things. At first, people thought that was just my conscious making these images and everything. So, but
So when you were younger, though, when you would talk about seeing things, we like he said, his dad and I thought that um, it was just his imagination. He liked to play. Um, I guess with imaginary fight or whatever.
yeah,
So, but as he got older, his counselor that he had said that they usually don't diagnose kids with schizophrenia until they become adults because of that whole reason. So, moving on, I how was it like with your friends at school? I
uh,
mean, did they think it was weird, or did they thought it was cool, or I mean, how does that go?
honestly, when I was first young, I managed to pull people towards me by saying that I'm dealing with maybe a dragon or something like that, and kids would flock to me. But as I got older, I kept it to myself because I know it was kind of weird. I didn't want anybody to freak out about it. Mostly, 5, 10, maybe 13 people liked it, and then I just started keeping it to me.
Mm-hmm. You mean keeping it to yourself,
Yeah, keeping it to myself.
right? And then, that up there real quick. And then, so your and your dad and I mean, we really didn't realize anything was going on until you were a teenager.
Right.
And when he was in 10th grade, that's when you were diagnosed. Um, they diagnosed you with Asperger's.
Right.
And so, and I think that was just for insurance purposes. But now, once his junior year,
Junior to senior.
yeah, that's when they diagnosed him as with schizophrenia. So as after he graduated, his first semester after he graduated was a really tough. Do you remember that? Yeah,
Uh,
that's when you were in school, went to Ivy Tech
right. I went to college for
one semester.
one semester, and that didn't work out for me. But I did have an episode that really hit home that I do have uh schizoaffective or schizophrenia, and uh, luckily there was a kind person nearby who managed to get me through it, and
Mhm.
and I I had to quit school. I had to quit college. I didn't want to uh, have an episode in the middle of a place where no one will help me, and and so I I usually stay at home now for that reason.
So, so would you say that um, having something like this, um, I mean, it does affect your everyday life, and so are you just scared to go out in public because you
I
know
wouldn't say I'm scared, but I'm more worried what might happen. Uh, I do have I did have a lot of anxiety dealing with large groups of people, and I did not like going to stores or unless it's a comfortable place that is like a bookstore or something. And but now uh now I do like to go to stores and everything because well there's food there and I like food. And but what if I have an episode, I I don't cling to the nearby person, but I make sure that whatever vision I have, I just follow that person and everything. Even though when their hair turns purple with snakes. I'm joking, they kind of.
so okay. um yeah, he's got all kinds of stories.
Yeah.
um so I want to talk about when the medication part of it, because over the years there was some medication that helped, there was some medication that didn't help, and then there was medication that like you would not take it at all.
No.
And so um what was that like having to like, because the doctors don't know perfectly what your body needs, so they have to like tinker with the prescription and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, what was that? I mean, tell us about how that experience is with you, dealing with that.
When I was younger, I didn't take medicine. I didn't like taking medicine because it made me feel different. I'm not sure how I can explain it back then.
Hmm.
Now I
You mean like the side effects? You
yeah,
didn't.
I didn't comprehend what the side effects were,
Hmm.
and I didn't know how to ask anybody because for all I know, it could have been just my imagination and everything, just that
Hmm.
anxiety that hit. Uh, and it did take a lot of tinkering on getting the right meds that I do now and everything. And even then, we have to increase the dose or lower a dose just to be safe on things.
Hmm.
And I try to take my medicine every day and every night, and uh, hopefully I wouldn't have to add any medicine because even throughout all the years of not knowing what to do or what and knowing what to do, I don't like taking pills because it makes me feel sick, if that's a good word for it.
Hmm. So talk about when you got to the point where you were not hearing or seeing any hallucinations anymore. Like, how did that feel? Because I remember when we talked to the therapist, she told me that you felt lonely,
Oh yeah.
so I mean, explain to us, someone who doesn't deal with that, you're being bombarded with voices and hearing things and seeing things, and then all of a sudden they just slowly go away.
Uh, I don't know what. Oh, sorry.
It's
Uh,
fine.
I don't know what it's like for other people because I know that the paranoid schizophrenia is a dangerous thing and that it it feeds off of your paranoia and everything. But for me, the hallucinations, the both vocal and or and auditory one have been with me throughout my years, and uh, they became part of me and everything. And I kind of want to keep that in a way because it makes me feel like I'm not completely alone. And everything, but when I finally did uh, uh, lose them for a time, I think I went into a depression. I'm not sure because I didn't have anybody to talk to, or I didn't have anybody to see when there's no one else around, or when both my parents are working.
So I'm thinking that, okay, so if you don't have anybody around, why don't you go find somebody? But you're used to being isolated, secluded, by yourself,
Right.
and because you've always had that with
Friendship
you.
type deal.
I mean, that's how you look at it.
Yeah.
Like a friend. So, um, well, I lost my train of thought.
So
I
sorry.
had another question I was going to ask you.
We can take a minute.
So, so now that you're an adult, you've had this, your entire life. I mean, do you think about it every day or?
Honestly, I don't. I don't. I don't always think about it because they sometimes there are voices that. Oh, sorry. There are voices that pop, and sometimes there are voices that whisper. And then, like nowadays, I don't get actual people and everything because I think my imagination kind of shrunk as time goes on. But I get I get like little like
Flashes.
flashes of things that flick at the edge of my sight,
Hmm.
and that makes me look, and I know, and then it can be helpful too because I sometimes notice like, oh, my keys are down on the floor or something like that.
Are you saying they're helping you find stuff?
Surprisingly, people I know that doesn't sound right, but it helps.
So, um, oh, I can't even keep track of what I'm talking about.
Sorry.
So, what do you think your family, like your brothers, what do you think they thought about you?
Uh, I know that once didn't believe anything that about the hallucination because he thinks I was just that I was daydreaming. But Rat seems to be okay with that. Like he knows there's something wrong with me or something weird with me, but he he uh he seems to accept that I can that my weirdness has stemmed from my experience with schizo schizoaffective,
Hmm.
and I think he's okay with it now. I don't know about Max. I don't hang out that that I don't hang around Max that often,
Hmm.
and I think he's not aware that I have schizoaffective.
Hmm. Well, I know me personally, it was a struggle as being your mom
Yeah.
because, when kids are younger and they're going through these things, the first thing that we tend to think is, oh, he's just wild. He's hyper. He can't concentrate. He can't pay attention. And so we're like taking you to the doctor, trying to get all this stuff worked out. And they're saying it's this, they're saying it's that. And then, you're not being evaluated regularly like you're supposed to. I find out when you're 16, 17 years old that or I'm sorry, 14 or 15 that you should have been evaluated like, 4 years earlier, reevaluated, I should say.
Right.
And I was like, okay.
Isn't that when I did get reevaluated or something?
That's when I transferred you to Centerstone.
Oh.
So because we weren't doing, we had quit the one therapist and we were just getting medication refills at the clinic. So that's when we switched you to Centerstone, and then that's where you got
Diagnosed with schizoaffective, Asperger's,
yeah,
and
but
another
it
list
was
of mind diseases.
right, but it was mind diseases. That's like a brain tumor.
Thank you, Mom. I hadn't noticed. I have been feeling a little pressure on the side here.
He's got a tumor.
It's a tumor.
So, so anyway, so as a parent, it was a struggle, and then trying to explain things to people. So a lot of times I got, well, he just needs punished. Really?
Wow. People just said that to you?
Yeah, I needed to spank you. It's like I'm
Did
done.
you and Dad did spank me?
Well, when you were younger, when you really did something that was disobedient,
Right.
But I was like, I'm over that because that's not going to fix this child. So
Yeah. I remember when Dad told us to pick the tool that he would spank us with.
the tool.
Yeah. It wasn't an actual tool. It was like
Oh,
it was like a spatula or something.
a kitchen tool.
Yeah. Winston picked a book, a thick book, and he didn't think that Dad would be able to use it properly.
He offended you with some word.
I think he picked the Bible too. Dear God.
So how I know you've had a couple of jobs, since since you've graduated.
Yeah.
So what was it like working um, with coworkers and employers? So I mean, don't name names or places.
All right.
Okay.
My first job, well, it's at this place. Well, and my first job, they found it the employees, my coworkers, thought it was pretty interesting that I had it and everything. And but my employers did not care for it one bit because they said it distracts me and everything. They couldn't fire me, but it said it was distracting to the others too.
Mm-hmm.
And so I try to kept more to myself and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Did you feel like maybe the employer did not understand?
I think he didn't want to understand. Like anybody like for one of my friends there, he did ask questions about uh, what's it like, do you take anything for it and everything. And I answered the questions at the time as best I can and everything. It's the cat. Yeah, so I try to answer as best as I can, and everybody else, got the memo. I'm just a weird kid that started working there and everything and whatnot.
So do you think that your boss, like things that he felt you were doing wrong, do you think he thought you were doing it on purpose, or that he understood that you had limitations with remembering things? And
I think he didn't like it. That was one thing. Because I do remember him saying that you're only getting these days because I was told to give them to you and everything. And at first I didn't understand what that meant, and then you told me that you called and everything. Then so I tried to earn my days and everything, but whatever I did, nothing I did pleased him and everything. And I don't think he'd hold my schizoaffective against me, but I think he just thinks I was just a lousy
employee.
employee.
Well, what about stressful situations? I mean, how does that make you feel?
Asking for more days with him was stressful. And apparently that's for all the employees,
Uh-huh.
except for one or two people and everything.
So
Didn't
I
take
know,
crap.
but when you get stressed, it brings on
More hallucinations.
right.
Anything. And that's just my brain overworking with things. And so normally I did arrange at my first job to have a timeout moment, as it were,
Mm-hmm.
where I just go outside and take a few breaths and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It got really bad, I which was it got real bad one time when I did, and I finally decided that I wanted another job that was less stressful, and that led to my other job.
Mm-hmm.
And I was fully open with them, and I didn't try to hide what I was. Right, and I didn't try to hide what I was at my second job.
Right. Well, so I'm losing all my questions tonight, right? Because
Because I'm a hilarious comedian.
well, it's something.
Something
So,
funny.
um, so tell me, like as being your mom,
Yeah.
I mean, do you think I'm an awesome mom, or you think I sucked at it?
There were times I did not like you, but there are plenty of more where I always thought it's like, oh, I'm glad I have her as my mom. She's so understanding, and she's a dork like me.
Excuse me.
You are a dork, mom. And she is the one who mostly raised me and my brothers. Not Max. Max was the dad and Mandy's kid, but uh, for for me, Winston and Rhett, she raised us the best of her abilities, and then when and th- and Glenn came along, and that made her happy, and I was glad that she was happy. Don't do that. It's not that kind of channel.
Sorry.
When Glenn came along, it made her happy, and I was glad that she was happy and everything. And I know we had our problems, and I know that I probably have said some things that hurt her feelings, or she said some things that hurt my feelings.
Go, I'm sorry.
Anyway, that right there is one of the reasons why I like her. she she helped me become the person I am today, and I'm really thankful for that.
Oh, that's sweet. This wasn't we didn't do this to get brownie points.
I'm boosting your ratings right now.
Well, I just want people to know that I mean everybody knows that there's mental illness and
Yeah, but it's in the background of everything.
right, and nobody I mean like I don't know of anybody that openly talks about it. I mean, I talk about it with my family, my mom and my sisters and things. But I mean, it's like on the day-to-day stuff. I mean, there's like challenges, you know, name some of the things that have been challenging for you here lately. Things that I think are hindering you. So like I want you to, get up every morning, get dressed and everything, but sometimes you can't do that because you've been awake for 2, 3 days.
Yeah.
And that's another side effect
When it
of it.
when it comes to me staying up for 2 to 3 days, it's not due to the hallucinations. It's due to the fact that I just get not buzzed, or maybe that's the right word, buzzed, because for instance, my fingers, I can tell when I get too hyper because my fingers would uh, vibrate. And oh, how do you?
How did he feel about the pandemic?
I was happy, to be honest. Not because people were dying or anything like that, but because no, because I was
I mean, like in being in the house and everything.
It was just a normal day for me because I've been home for 2 to 3 years already, and
Yeah, he does stay home a lot, so
And walking to the store was still pretty easy. I mean, wearing masks to other places was a big change for me. But luckily, we don't have to wear masks anymore. At least not here. And everything.
but we're supposed to.
We're supposed to, but no one pushes you to do it or anything like that.
But being around other people didn't stress you out.
No.
Yeah.
Because everyone was now in the same spot as me. We had to stay isolated. We have to be in the same spot for at first 2 weeks, then a whole year.
Yeah, I mean it was tough on me though.
1 year anniversary to our 2 week isolation.
Huh?
The 1 year anniversary to our 2 week isolation.
Yeah. 15 days to what is it? 15 days to lower the curve or something.
Yeah,
I can't remember the saying. So I mean, do you think that you talking about this, will help somebody else out there?
I hope so. I'm not the I I'm not the best example because I like to call it I have schizophrenic light and everything, or diet schizophrenia, because I got off pretty easy. I only see things I see things that are not scary, or sometimes they are scary, but they're not hurtful or anything. The voices don't tell me to cause myself or anybody else harm, and uh,
Sometimes you said that they would just talk and talk and talk and talk.
that gets annoying sometimes. That's why music. I love music, and I get that from my dad, because I love just putting on headphones, drowning out everything else, and I love learning about fan made music. Right, like there's this one, Samuel something. He uh, he made a entire soundtrack of Star Wars music that was medieval and everything. I thought that was pretty neat, and that helped me put myself in a mood and everything.
In a mood.
I don't know how to explain it. Okay.
That it helped you focus.
Yeah.
To drown out the voices.
Helps me focus when I'm typing, or it helps me focus when I'm reading and everything. I love reading too, and everything.
And you get that from your mom and dad.
Yeah.
So, well, is there anything else you want to share?
Don't do drugs. Stay in school. Eat your teeth.
Eat your teeth.
That's a reference.
Oh, I don't know what that means.
Different dimension. What does that mean?
Different dimensions. Not sure what they're asking.
Do you mean, do I see different dimensions, or that I perceive things in a different way?
Probably.
Oh, well,
you have in the past, but
usually when I see another world is when I stayed up for 3 days straight and I don't get enough sleep, and then like immediately after I've seen this world, I pass out and then forget about it.
Yeah,
I knew what happened, but
and then we're like he's sleeping 14, 16 hours. Did the music take him to a different place?
No, normally no, but
they're like blanket out.
Normally I don't go to a different place when I play music, but when I stay off for 2 to 3 days and I put on like a really sad song, I would like experience my room raining. Or if I put on like marching sounds, I like hearing marching feet because it sounds rhythmic and everything. But then next thing I know, I find myself in a dirt field with an army marching next to me and everything. That's one of the few times that has happened.
Yeah, and so anytime, and when you get to that point,
I would pass out and go to sleep.
Right, because your body is saying, okay, you're stressing yourself out, your anxiety's high, and it's time for you to crash because the brain can't take this anymore.
Right.
So So those are some of the things that, he's had to deal with over the years. As a mom, when he's sleeping for 14, 16 hours straight, I'm like, dude, you got to get up and go to the bathroom. You got to get you some water. You got to get you some food.
Water and food, yes, but when you're when the body is shut down like I am, it goes into a recycling session and whatnot. So basically, I I wouldn't have to use the bathroom until like a few minutes after I woken up and everything.
Yeah, I know, but as a mom, I'm worrying about all this stuff.
I know.
Yeah. So,
but I have it down to a science.
Okay. Wow. So, well, Oliver, I'm glad that you came on here and allowed us to um, talk about this, and hopefully it'll help someone, out there. If you know of anybody that you think may be struggling with, you know, and a disorder like that, um, point them to the Facebook page.
Also, make sure you tell somebody and call help and everything, because I may not like it myself, but counseling, medicine, it has helped me, and it has put me in the right mindset that I have today and whatnot.
Yeah, I think definitely medication, um, especially with the hallucinations and things. And then the other is talk therapy. He hated to do that. He hated going to it, but that is just that's like the number one thing that that really helps people. No matter what kind of problem that you're going through, or you have, talking it out. And I think a lot of times talking to someone who doesn't know you, someone who's outside of the circle or outside the box, um, especially if it's a counselor or a doctor or therapist or whatever.
And talk to your family too, because they could have ideas that could help you, like uh, like uh, patterns that you can adopt. The word was
I mean, like routines.
Yes, routines.
Like healthy routines.
Healthy routines, like get up in the morning, put on clothes, or take a shower, then put on clothes. Maybe go for a walk or something like that. I don't do it personally, but I do. I do walk to the store most times. But
so
talking to people does help with exercising the demons, as it were, and everything.
Okay. So if anybody has any questions, if you're listening to this after it's aired, definitely comment #replay and then ask your questions and he'll answer them for you. But I just, I used to wonder, why does this happen to him or what has happened to us? But, now I don't do that anymore.
Stresses you out too much.
Well, I don't get stressed out about it. I get stressed out about you not taking care of yourself, but I'm just at that point where it's um it just is what it is. And so there's nothing to be embarrassed about. We just deal with it on a daily basis. And if something comes up, we work through it. I mean, in the past it has been a big struggle, making sure that you have everything that you need. So anyway, thank you for those who did tune in and ask questions. I really appreciate that. And so, like I said, this will be on Facebook, and I think I'm going to put it on YouTube and Instagram. So if any of you want to ask any questions, feel free. And I do plan on having another interview. So if you know of anybody that has really struggled and that just soldiered on and want to talk about it, hook me up. We'll have another interview. Thanks, everybody. Bye. Have a good evening.